In the spring of 2003, Denitse Sutta Kihonde Kwe, which is operated by the Katladeche First Nation on the Hay River Dene Reserve, received project funding to integrate Dene language instruction into its successful daycare program. This funding was provided by the Department of Education, Culture and Employment through its Language Nest initiative. According to Elaine Renee Tambour, the daycare director, the Language Nest project was designed to incorporate a variety of cultural learning activities, beginning with the raising of a teepee on the daycare grounds.
Okay, well, we're setting up this teepee to have a cultural spot in our daycare to run our Language Nest program through in the summertime and throughout the fall and winter. The summertime program is going to run every day, and the winter program will run once a week. We're going to be featuring arts and crafts by local artisans who will be teaching anyone who wants to come in to learn how to do it, so that the children have exposure to adults and elders and the traditional crafts and cooking skills and whatever. They're all too young to do it, but they need the exposure to it. We have elders coming on a volunteer basis to tell stories and things like that. The band council, of course, is very supportive of this. They're all for bringing back as much language as they can, and the other programs as well. We meet regularly, once a month, to discuss joint activities.
Many elders in the community have expressed concern that the language is being lost and are glad that something is being done to help preserve it. Pat Martel is one of these elders. Once the teepee was raised, an official opening ceremony took place that included a feeding of the fire ceremony, speeches, and a social gathering.
Our summer program, which runs through July and August for preschoolers, 2 to 6-year-olds, will be run in this play yard, and in this teepee we'll be running from 1 to 4 an adult program to learn traditional crafts and skills, and we have some elders. Berna has agreed to come and teach some crafts for us, and so has Sarah, as well as some other elders and artisans.
My brother, he said, can't you okay? So take it so they can get them there. Kasi kaya you can do it. So start doing egg for ada kaizo. Masih.
Alex Tambour was hired as a Slavey language specialist for the summer. His role is to speak the language as much as possible during regular daycare activities, provide language training to staff, and organize regular language sessions for the children and youth who visit the daycare during the summer.
Here, okay, Thai, Ding, Sulai, Sotai, Satin, Setin, Sauli, Honano, Honano Dashi, Honano Donkey, Honano Datai, Honano Datin. Sela za kunte ni te eta de ti de une ton de sa de ti sa cha ni du chu le ha li de one na ella what's Clicho. Clicho. What's Nikki. Ka. 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 Itchy. 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 And that. And that. Ka. I think. Con. What's Tendi? Tendi. What's Clicho. Is something? Clicho.
Elders and other community members visit the teepee at scheduled times each week to demonstrate traditional crafts and promote the Dene language.
How do you say beats? Beats. Etso. 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 Say that to me. Etso. Don't. Beliha.
Belly day. Dot T. Cho.
You did really well, boy.
Cindy do well.
Going in is your messy.
Then is a commercial.
How long does it take to make this dry fish?
Could be 20 minutes, 15 minutes. If you know how. But if you don't know how, it's going to take a long time, eh? This one, D, sweet tea. Here are your hat.
Sweet
Sweet tea.
fish head.
Sweet ear.
Fish gut.
Sweet ear, that's the gut. Sweet there, liver. And this is sweet sweet shit.
Anne Buggins, a well-respected elder, has raised children and grandchildren to speak the Dene language. As with many elders, she feels the language is very important for future generations.
The needs 세랑 베랑. 어디 그거 됐어. 이 찔려는 참기네. 근데 깨관데 오늘 너는 했어요. 근데 깨관데 tanti 일단 그쳤어. 이 칸티슈가 betalde 아동 되나야 키 못이야지. 이 되나야 지금 이제 물에 되겠죠.
오, 하.
This Language Nest project stresses the importance of providing Dene language instruction to the staff and parents as well as the children, because many of the Katlodeche First Nations young parents are not fluent in their traditional language.
They will learn. But it's pretty hard if the parents don't talk to each other in Slavey at home. Then how could the kids learn to speak their language? All the parents should think about that. I don't know why people talk to in English to their children only, because some of them, they speak English, they speak Slavey really good, but still their children didn't learn. That's what I'm surprised about, because it's good to have your children speak their own language.
My grandfather, like when he comes to visit me and talks to my son, they don't understand, and he doesn't like that, so I start talking to them. And when they're going to school here, they take like Slavey class. They know how to pronounce like silver words and stuff like that.
He knows what it means to go to bed. Like I tell him Nita, and he knows what that means. He knows not to touch things. Do manindi. I need. What else does he know? Just things like come here. I won't. He knows no when I speak no to him. Just small things like that. That I found it easier to learn than easier. So I'm at least trying to show him, to teach him some of the things I know anyway.
In order to better reach young parents, the Katlodeche First Nation offers Dene language instruction in its adult education program with the goal of expanding and reinforcing overall use of the language within the home and community.
Salon either means hold my hand or shake my hand. So in English, you put hold my hand / shake my hand. Then with 2 nasal here. The reason we use this nasal is because the sound comes out of and your mouth at the same time.
The Katlodeche Chief and Council supported the Language Nest project and were kept informed of project activities throughout the summer, but raised the issue of elder involvement and parental commitment to the language.
Just from talking to people and working within the language, there's certain things that you got to really think through. You got to think it through. So that's the important thing about the program. But it's good that it started, and I know with the Maori, it wasn't a question that just one day appeared. It took them years to get to that point where they said, "Oh, geez, the elders are all dying, and we got to do something. If the elders all die, how are we going to teach a language if that language dies with them?" And so there was kind of a panic, and so then they said, "Well, how, who knows how to teach our language without the elders?" So they went to the elders. So it took a long time to get to that point. It wasn't just in one day somebody thought of it. It was, it took a while because they did try other things. They did try all kinds of things to try to teach the children the language, and they weren't successful. The only time it got successful was when the elders took the children, and so it is successful. But again, it's so that's why I think it's important that we do these things and really consider how we can involve the elders in the program. How can we do that? And the little kids need to hear the language, not just 25% of the time or 50% or 75%. They got to hear it 100% of the time. And so that I think is really important. But again, even before we get to that point, the parents, do they really want their children to learn the language? And how important is it? So the parents have to answer that question. Do they think that then the language is worth saving? And if they don't, then it's just, then there's going to be a problem. So we need to address that issue. Is the language worth saving? And the culture worth saving? So that's a question that the parents are the ones that are going to have to answer.
Both Elaine and Alex Tambour acknowledge that there are significant challenges to implementing a Language Nest program within the community, but feel that the project achieves success during its first few months of operation.
So before you start a language program, I think the best thing would be to do is to meet with the elders and talk about what your program is doing and get them involved in the daycare on a volunteer basis, to come in maybe as a grandparent or something into the program before you start the language. We haven't been able to get like true immersion programming here, simply because there aren't enough adults who are interested in working with kids who can speak the language. So we've been using immersion techniques by having one or two members speaking it. And it works better if we have two, because otherwise that person comes in and they automatically switch to English. So it's better if there's two people speaking the language, and that way it reminds them to speak Slavey. Right now, we don't have enough language speakers to hire childcare workers who speak the language. So it has to be two groups of people. And our funding does not cover two groups of people. So we have to have double staff in here to handle the program. So our regular funding and our parent fees will not cover both programs. The only ones who would speak the language would be the elders and the people who are grandparents and great-grandparents. And they haven't got the energy to look after the kids. Right. So we need to teach the parents and that age group to speak the language so that they can take over. And it's happening, but like I said, it'll take, a minimum of 5 years. So it would be good to have at least 5-year programming for this. Yeah. And the kids are listening a lot closer. Like before, if someone spoke Slavey, then they would just sort of play. They wouldn't pay any attention. But now they're starting to pay more attention. And they are starting to make the sounds in their speech. And I noticed the kids that are in Aboriginal Head Start this year, that are in the 4-year program, they're able to count in Slavey, whereas in previous years they were only able to do that at the end of the school year. And already they've got it.
Ka da zuta yati enya na ge chi what's then again sa what's a tini te ka da ge go gidit ji di yati I tilia kon di te sani chu ha massi conezun je kon di ya ti zuta tilia la ge chi heta si kwa chuni te massi ke ti shi je gande shu yadi tini te je massi ke ti da je massi te 11 ta ke chi da je ga ko ga sin ne kandi ya ti na ke chi ya ti chi ya sin kandi na ke chi
In spite of the challenges, Denetsit Sutta Kihonde Kwe maintains a strong commitment to promoting and teaching the Dene language among the children's staff and parents associated with the daycare program. The Language Nest project will continue throughout the year, and if funding permits, for many years to come.
Ah,